Let's dive into something that's been flooding social media and news feeds all week. A story that, at first, seems like just another viral headline. But the more you look, the more tangled and meaningful it becomes. It's one of those stories that reveals the messy, raw humanity so often hiding behind the polished surface of internet culture. Jordan James Parke died recently. He was only 34, and his name, his face, his larger-than-life persona, if you've been online at all, or if you know the reality TV world, you might recognize him. He first drew widespread attention as a British influencer from Dudley, England, catapulting himself into the public eye through his dramatic and daring cosmetic transformation. Calling himself the Lip King, Jordan became a fixture on Instagram and was even featured on E's Botched, that show where surgeons attempt to fix cosmetic procedures gone wrong. For years, he flaunted his look: plump lips, sculpted jaw, contoured cheeks, proudly declaring he'd spent more than $150,000 on procedures since he was a teenager. Nose jobs, lip fillers, jawline enhancements, neck filler, chin implants, Brazilian butt lifts, the full menu. Jordan's energy online was magnetic and polarizing. He was bold, unapologetic, a showstopper who generated strong reactions. People debated whether he was an inspiration or a cautionary tale. But regardless of opinion, he was impossible to ignore. He became a living symbol of an era obsessed with transformation, with the idea that identity, physical, digital, personal, is something you can sculpt, edit, and control. But on February 18, 2025, everything changed. Jordan was found unconscious at Lincoln Plaza in Canary Wharf, London. By the time paramedics and police arrived, there was nothing they could do. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The shockwaves rippled instantly across social media and in real life. He was only 34. Police have called his death unexplained, and the investigation is ongoing. The unsettling twist: reports suggest Jordan underwent some kind of cosmetic procedure shortly before his death. Details are scarce. No one is confirming what exactly happened or what procedure he had. But just 2 days after his death, police arrested a man and a woman on suspicion of manslaughter. Both are out on bail, and the investigation is very much in motion. Right now, there are far more questions than answers, and the people closest to Jordan, his family, his friends, his followers, are left with a sense of shock, confusion, and profound loss. But beneath the surface, the story is even more tangled, and the grief echoes beyond just those who knew Jordan personally. It's a story that exposes the dark undercurrents of the modern beauty industry, especially the parts that operate in the shadows. Because Jordan's death doesn't exist in a vacuum. Just last year, in 2024, Jordan himself was arrested, though never charged, after a tragedy involving another life lost to the pursuit of beauty. Alice Webb, a 33-year-old mother of 5, died after undergoing a non-surgical Brazilian butt lift, a so-called liquid BBL, at a clinic Jordan ran with Gemma Polyzin in Gloucester. Alice was young, vibrant, and left behind 5 children. She got sick after the procedure and didn't recover. Jordan was arrested for manslaughter, but the case was still open. He was due to answer bail in March, a process interrupted by his sudden death. Just pause and let that settle in. A mother of 5, gone after a cosmetic treatment in an unregulated clinic. Now the man associated with that clinic is dead, possibly after another procedure. The connections are haunting. It's a devastating loop. One life lost, then another, both linked to a world where beauty, risk, and ambition collide in unpredictable and sometimes deadly ways. It would be easy to turn this into a story of villains and victims, but that's not honest. Jordan was not a caricature or a monster. He was a complicated, deeply human person. In a 2016 interview on This Morning, he said something that lingers. He never hated himself. He didn't look in the mirror and see something broken. For him, plastic surgery was a passion, a hobby even. He saw it as a way to express himself, to be creative, to shape his identity in ways that felt true to him. And honestly, that's a feeling many people can relate to, maybe more than we like to admit. Especially for women, but increasingly for men too, the pressure to align your outer self with your inner sense of who you are is intense. We live in a culture obsessed with transformation. Before and after photos, filters, curated feeds, the constant invitation to improve, upgrade, and perfect ourselves. The internet amplifies this pressure, turning ordinary people into influencers, making appearance feel like currency. Jordan lived at the sharp edge of this reality. But there's also a dangerous side, one that the beauty industry, especially its unregulated corners, doesn't like to talk about. Cosmetic procedures, especially those done by unlicensed or poorly trained practitioners, come with real, sometimes tragic risks. The rise of liquid BBLs, filler parties, and pop-up clinics has created a market where safety is often an afterthought and accountability can be hard to find. These treatments are sold as quick fixes, as accessible ways to chase the looks we see online, but the potential for harm is real, and often hidden until it's too late. Alice Webb's story is heartbreakingly familiar to families who have lost loved ones to botched procedures. 5 young children will grow up without their mother because of a treatment that was marketed as low risk, even glamorous. And now, with Jordan's death, another family is facing loss, and the wider community is left to reckon with the consequences. We need to talk about what's really at stake when the pursuit of beauty collides with the realities of business, regulation, and personal desire. We need to ask hard questions about the social forces that drive people to reshape themselves, about the profit motives that allow dangerous practices to flourish, and about the support, or lack thereof, for those who get caught in the crossfire. Ultimately, this isn't just a story about one influencer or one tragic procedure. It's a mirror held up to our culture, a culture that rewards transformation, that blurs the line between aspiration and risk, that sometimes fails to protect the people most vulnerable to its pressures. Jordan's story, Alice's story, and the stories that will inevitably follow ask us to look deeper, to see the real people behind the headlines, and to reckon with the human cost of our beauty obsession. We owe it to everyone touched by these tragedies to keep asking questions, to demand better safeguards, and to remember that behind every viral headline is a real life, a real family, and a ripple of grief that never fully fades.